Hi, fuck Noah. Great name. All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Bobby from the Hundreds. I'm sure you're getting used to seeing me pop in on live every now and then, and you're also used to seeing me telling you to hop over to the Hundreds TV. I'm actually going live right now. The Hundreds TV is our TV channel on our website that we're constantly running content through. If you know about Dropping In, that's one of the shows that I do on Thursdays where I go through the latest drop. I also do, we also have a show called Power Hour. We have a show coming up called Night Terrors. Tomorrow we have a show called Greatest Hits on the Hundreds TV where we go through vintage, the Hundreds clothing, talk through it with our host, Justin. And then we also sell it at the same time. So come on over to the Hundreds TV. Follow me there right now. I'm already live. If you're watching through the Hundreds TV, tv.thehundreds.com, you're going to see me doing this simultaneously. But today we're going to do this show called Office Hours that I do. I'm not going to be selling you any product. You will be able to buy whatever you want through our website, of course. But just talking to you about what's on my mind, social issues right now, current events, and it is your chance also to ask me questions. So come to the Hundreds TV right now. Ask me any questions you have about upcoming drops, what's going on with you and your life and streetwear in general. If you're trying to build a brand, if you have questions about brand building, you can always come over and ask me. So please join me on the Hundreds TV right now. What's up to everybody? Let's see here. I'm going to answer questions here real quick since I have some of you. Jerry fucking Sheen. Everyone has a fuck in their name who is following us, which I appreciate. You guys are the best. Thank you for the motivation, bro. Starting now with my own shirt brand. Please do so. I'm excited to see you do it. Someone asking why are the Hundreds clothes on Depop size medium only? I don't know. That's not us. But if you are buying vintage the Hundreds product, buy it from Greatest Hits. It's up on our website right now. And every Tuesday, I go live on the Hundreds TV with our host, Justin and Ben Hundreds. And we tell stories around the shirts and some of the clothes. We have pants, stickers, all kinds of stuff up there from the last 17 years. And we sell it directly from us. It's authenticated by us. So yeah, right now, follow me over to the Hundreds TV. I'm about to just sit here and go live for the next 30 minutes or so. This is a show I do once a week called Office Hours. And I talk about daily events, just current events, stuff going on in the news, stuff going on in your life. And again, it's a chance for you to ask questions. So I'm Bobby Hundreds. Follow me over to the Hundreds TV right now. I'll see you there. All right. Okay, everyone, how's it going? If this is your first time tuning in to the Hundreds TV, let's see here. My name is Bobby Hundreds. I am the co-founder and the chief creative officer of the Hundreds. At the start of this pandemic, we launched this channel called the Hundreds TVs, just so that we can broadcast to you live, give you an all-encompassing experience. You can tap in with us, the people behind the brand. I'm going to walk you through the stuff that we're working on. Also give you a chance to buy it as we're talking about it. But beyond that, we are also using the Hundreds TV as a platform to just discuss other things, to showcase other types of talent, other types of programming. So on Fridays, we have a show called Power Hour where we have a live DJ come in and do a set for us. We have a nightly show called Night Terrors with some of the people on staff here as they're gaming and very Twitch style, just talking to you about life in general. I have another show outside of this one. This one is called Office Hours. Office Hours is really just a forum, almost like a town hall for me to talk about stuff that's going on in my life, my thoughts on things, for you to ask questions and for me to get to know you better. Like office hours, like for those of you who are in school or gone to college, you know what office hours is all about. It's just a time for us to sit together and talk. On Thursdays, I have a show called Dropping In that you should tune into. Dropping In is a place for me to talk about the latest release. Every week we do a drop here at the Hundreds. This week we are doing an Atom Bomb collection. Last week we finished up the third of 3 Stanley Kubrick movie collaborations with A Clockwork Orange. So that's on Thursdays, every time at this time, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tomorrow on Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, tune into the Hundreds TV right here, tv.thehundreds.com. We are doing a show called Greatest Hits. We just premiered the first episode last week, and Greatest Hits is an opportunity for Ben and I to walk you through some of the classic, the Hundreds pieces from our last 17 years. We have actually sourced vintage, original t-shirts, pants, stickers, jackets. We walk you through the story behind them, the process, everything that we think about them, and we sell these one-of-one pieces through the Hundreds TV. You can also follow the Hundreds Greatest Hits on Instagram. That's exactly how it sounds, spelled out, at the Hundreds Greatest Hits. And Greatest Hits is a program that we are going to be continuing to push through the Hundreds on the product side by selling it through the website. There is actually a page for it on thehundreds.com right now, if you can find it. And we are also continuing to do programming around the Hundreds Greatest Hits. It's a TV show that is hosted by Justin. So that's Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Tune into tv.thehundreds.com to watch Greatest Hits. Right now, you're watching Office Hours. Office Hours is a weekly show I like to do every Monday. Just tuning in the afternoon, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for the most part. We try to give you a heads up through Instagram Live, through Twitter, through Instagram itself, through the feed. My name is Bobby Hundreds. I'm the co-founder and the chief creative officer of the Hundreds. The Hundreds is many things. At its core, it's really a 2-part project. It is a streetwear brand on the apparel side. It is also a storytelling platform. It's a content media engine. It started 17 years ago in 2003 with me running a blog, just sitting around writing a blog, talking about the stories behind the t-shirts we were making, interviewing different personalities that Ben, my partner, and I believed were important to the culture, especially here in Los Angeles, which at the time in 2003 was not necessarily a hub for a street culture. It was, the spotlight was more at that moment tuned into what was happening in Japan and New York, and LA had a scene, but LA also was distracted by a lot of other stuff like reality shows and Paris Hilton. And so Ben and I, we were working on this brand. At the same time, I was blogging and writing and documenting the culture because we really believe there was a culture around this. Over the years, that blog then manifested into a bigger media platform, almost Vice style, with contributors from around the world and the editorial department. And now you're seeing the next and newest iteration of what the Hundreds media looks like. It is the Hundreds TV. As if you've been watching us throughout the pandemic, we launched this in a way to stay in tune with you, our community, and connect with you. So even though we are distanced and kept apart, we can still engage and interact, and everyone can still feel very much a part of the community. If you haven't read my book yet, if you don't know about it, it is called This Is Not a T-Shirt. I talk a lot more about the importance of community over just clothing. You know, one of our mantras here is people over product. And so this is also a big reason why we do the Hundreds TV. So right now I'm going to answer some questions. You are free to ask questions on the side. There is a tab that you can hit. Engage with others in the community, just trade information, share how you're feeling, and then pick my brain, and I'll be picking your brain as well. So that's really what Office Hours is about. Sammy asks, have I been out to eat yet? So it's funny that you mentioned that. I did go out for the first time this weekend to an actual restaurant. I spent the day in Lake Arrowhead yesterday, and my family and I went to go pick up some food at a Mexican restaurant. And we figured since we were there and we were hungry and we were running late, we might as well just eat there. And so we took the food and we ate in the patio area. It was a pretty congested restaurant. And it was very strange, I have to say. It was a very bizarre experience to be eating amongst other people. It almost made me wonder why we ever ate out to begin with, because it was very uncomfortable. It was loud, noisy. The waiter, who it is his or her job to do this, but is constantly interrupting your meal to either chatter or ask how your meal is going. And so I love restaurants. I love the food industry, and I'm excited for a day where it will feel much more socially acceptable and normative to eat in a restaurant again. But your first time out, it was not exactly as exciting and as positive and as rewarding an experience as I dreamt of it being throughout the pandemic. You know how you're thinking, oh man, when we get to eat at restaurants again, it's going to be great. Because this pandemic is far from being over, in many ways, it's just beginning. It felt weird to be eating in a restaurant knowing that this is not nearly done. So I did eat in a restaurant. The food was really good though, lobster tacos. Outcast45 is asking, how big is that guy? How big is that rug you guys have been teasing? If you check out my Instagram, Bobby Hundreds, you can follow me at Bobby Hundreds on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. I've been teasing this rug that we are dropping this Thursday as part of our Atom Bomb collection. We've done rugs before, kind of more like throw little doormat type of rugs through the brand. This is the first time we've made a rug on this level. It is huge. I don't know the full scale of it, but a whole body could basically fit on it. If you've been seeing some of the lookbook photos that I've teased, you can see our model Michaela in comparison to the rug. It is big. It is also really well done, really nicely made, high quality. And that is also why it is priced at about $500. I know a lot of people have been asking, wondering how much the rugs are. They are $500. This is a heavy duty rug. There are not a lot of them, but it is not a cheap rug. And so I know that's a lot to ask, especially right now. And so it's not for everybody. But if you have the means to do so and you really want to get it, it is the best rug that you can get. So that is dropping on Thursday with the rest of the Atom Bomb collection. Chris is asking, a Jordan collab? Jordan collab, I mean, I would love to collaborate with Jordan, and I've had many conversations with people on brand Jordan over the years, and there's nothing on the horizon for a collaboration with Jordan. But of course, Ben and I would love to see that. We love Air Jordan very much. What colors do we have available for the upcoming Atom Bomb tees? We have blue. I think there is kind of like a creamish tan color as well, like a beige color, black always. So if you know about the brand, we always try to offer at least one black colorway in everything that we do. Number one is just the color that we prefer, but number two, it has a lot to do with the themes around the hundreds. Los Angeles lifestyle, California culture, growing up in the 80s and 90s, and what the color black represented in terms of fashion. Everything from NWA gangster rap culture, wearing all black, to the Sunset Strip with hair metal and heavy metal bands, and wearing black leather, punk rock scene, punk scene, wearing a lot of black, and also especially in skateboarding at the time. So black is there for a reason. It is also contrasted with a lot of colorful stuff that we do. So for example, when we make a black shirt, we try to use pop colors. The pop colors come from the 90s. Myself being inspired by a lot of the rave fashion that I was wearing in the 90s, and the independent skate brands that were using a lot of colorful, cartoony aesthetic in their work. And so when you look back even on my inspiration wall, and you see this graphic by Fresh Jive with these cartoon fruits, that came from a rave flyer that Rick Klotz had done in the early 90s. And that is my favorite streetwear t-shirt of all time. They're impossible to find. If you ever find one, I'll buy it from you. But that Fresh Jive shirt with the fruits on the front, we flipped it twice. One a few years ago when we made them bombs. But the very first time was a collaboration with Fresh Jive themselves, with Rick Klotz. We got to do that shirt back when our brand was first starting. And so that shirt means a lot to me. I know I went off on a tangent, but that's kind of what Office Hours is about. If you're watching you're watching me. My name is Bobby Hundreds, co-founder and chief creative officer of the Hundreds. every week on Mondays at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I come in here live from my office here in Los Angeles, my office within my office, and we do a show called Office Hours. It's just a moment and a forum for us to meet. You can ask me questions. You can talk to me about anything that's on your mind regarding either the brand, your own brand, your life in general. I get asked a lot of relationship stuff. I'm not the expert on it, but I will tell you how I feel about it. It is really just a chance for us to sit down, talk, and have a moment together. So ask questions. There's a tab on the side. You can drop your question in there, and they're coming to my phone. Dragon Crest Creative is asking, how do I delegate in creative areas? Great question. I'm not the best delegator. I'm not the best manager. In fact, it is the hardest part of my job. And I've admitted this time and again that I'm not the best boss in that regard. I'm an artist. And when we were starting this brand, I never imagined that there would be a day where I would have my own staff, that we would have Zoom meetings during a pandemic, or that I would be responsible for feeding a lot of people, making sure that they have health coverage and that their kids are taken care of. And so artists are, for the most part, introverted. They kind of want to just be stuck in a room by themselves for the rest of their lives and make art or write or whatever they do. And so it is quite elite for them, and in some ways very unnatural for artists like myself to be in management and to be leading a team from an organization standpoint. So I'm probably not the best person to ask about delegating and how delegating works, but what I do know is that it is important in building out your team to find individuals who are better at their job than you could ever be. Even though I've done almost every job in this company at some point, I do know that the people that I have on the team now with my partner, Ben, are better at it than I could ever be. David Hernandez in our graphics team, who is responsible for designing our t-shirts. He's a much more accomplished, prolific graphic designer than I could ever imagine to be. Allison, who does all our product photography for the website. She's the best product photographer we've ever seen. All our e-com photos, the t-shirts, the way they're laid out, there's a science to that. It's also a lot of intensive work, and I've done product photography in my life. It was my first internship working at Transworld Media back when I was in college. It's a really difficult job, and I was not that great at it. And so we're very lucky to have people like Allison who are better at that than I am. And so that's step one in building out your team, is that you are surrounding yourself with people who are much better at their job than you could ever be. And number two, who are respectful, who are intelligent, who are compassionate people who know how to work well with others. That's also really important. We've just had, over the years, 17 years, a lot of people have walked through these doors. A lot of people have caught a paycheck from the hundreds. And it takes a very specific personality to last and thrive here. We have a no asshole policy here. And a lot of it is just about fit, and so some people who don't work well here work better at other companies, and they come back and say thank you. And I don't really believe that there are bad employees, none for the most part. I just think that there are employees that fit better at some companies than others, and especially as they grow up and they change in their lives. And so I didn't really answer your question directly, but I did my best. Xavier asks, if we were to start the hundreds over today from zero, what would be the first thing you would do differently? I get asked that question a lot. We are partners in some other streetwear brands, some younger brands than ours. We've worked on other brands starting different kinds of companies under the hundreds. Greatest Hits is technically one of them. So I get to answer this question in real time every day. It's not hypothetical. We are still working on other brands. We also do a lot of printing. We own our own screen print shop called Mixed Media Productions here behind this wall. And so we are intricately involved in a lot of other younger brands. And so we get to illustrate this example a lot. I guess the one thing that, to be honest, I really wouldn't change much. The way that the hundreds was built was the way that it was meant to be built. I think the only thing that has changed and would change is that our technology is different now. But at the essence of what we do, if you look back to 2003 and our early blog entries and what we were talking about, what I was writing about back then, the way that I was designing, my ethos around everything. Nothing has changed, even up until 2020. We are a storytelling based brand. It is the ongoing narrative of our lives, not just Ben and I, but everyone who worked for us and is involved in the creation of this brand. We like to show that nuance and the character, the different facets of who we are through collaborations. Those are all things that we take interest in and we find that we want to share with the rest of the world. And so there's just a lot of storytelling done there. We tell stories through our social media. We tell stories through thehundreds.com, through articles that our team is writing. We tell stories through avenues and platforms like this, the Hundreds TV. But at the end of the day, what this is really about, and I said it earlier, is that it's not about just clothing. It is really about the community. It's about the culture. It is about these relationships that we're building. And so as important as the t-shirts are and the art and the fashion behind everything that we do, what we pride ourselves most upon, what is most valuable to us are these relationships that we're building with you. And so that's why if you've seen from our engagement and our activity online, the people who have been down with the brand, the Hundreds, since whenever they were in middle school, it always begins in middle school or high school. They stick with us for a very long time, even if they go in and out of wearing the clothing, because it was never really about the clothing. It was about the connection with us. And so I wouldn't change much, to be honest, as far as the Hundreds is concerned. Since we have access to different kinds of technology, like I wouldn't have been able to do this even a year ago or 2 years ago or 17 years ago, the Hundreds TV. We were experimenting with different TV type of channels even 5-7 years ago with YouTube and Snapchat. I was doing a similar thing. And so the technology changes. In some ways, it makes things more efficient. We get better at it, more polished. But at the heart of what we do, it has always been the same. Chris is asking, do I like hot sauce? And if so, which kind? I love a hot sauce. I'm a big condiments person. Tapatio is still my favorite. Tapatio on everything, on my scrambled eggs, on everything pretty much that I'm eating. I love truff sauce. Ketchup works for me. The Thai sweet chili sauce also is like, that's a cheat. As far as different like hot sauces, sriracha, it's just a classic. I'm not a big Cholula fan, but Tapatio is always there. That's my best friend. Okay. Booth, if this is the Booth asking, I don't know too many people named Booth, but if it is Booth, hi Booth, you are asking, you have the Hundreds and Grateful Dead tie-dye tee, brand new with tags. Would that be something Greatest Hits would be interested in? Absolutely. And we will be reaching out to you soon about that if you haven't reached out to us already. Speaking of Grateful Dead, we did release last week on Greatest Hits a Grateful Dead inspired shirt. It wasn't from our actual official collaboration, which we ended up doing years later. It was from the 100 San Francisco store opening, and that shirt sold right away. And so if you're finding any of the Hundreds Grateful Dead product out there, hold on to that. And the value on that stuff is people really, really value it. So Bubby Boy is asking, how long for the items from the last couple drops to ship? It depends on which drop we're talking about. If you're talking about the BBC collaboration that we did for Black Lives Matter, we had a strong disclaimer about that shirt on the website. Since that was a pre-order, usually everything that you're buying from us has already been made. And so the shipping on average from us comes within 3 days of it being ordered, so that you will receive the product. We have up until 10 days, as noted on our website, 10 business days for the product to get to you. That BBC collaboration, we stated expressly, is since we have so many orders for that shirt, it can take up to a month. So at the latest, you'll be getting it I think in July, first week of July, I believe, at the latest. So that is on its way. All right. What else do we got? So many questions. How are things going on in the Fairfax district after the riots took place? Fairfax is fine. It was kind of beautiful to watch the next morning after the riots. I think Ben and I got there around 7 in the morning on a Sunday, and it looked like 3 p.m. in the middle of the day on a busy Saturday pre-pandemic. It was packed with people who are not there to sightsee or to just loiter. It was packed with people cleaning the streets and volunteers. And so by the end of that weekend, Fairfax was practically restored. Of course, some of the windows had to be replaced, but in terms of the destruction, you wouldn't have noticed, you wouldn't have known that a riot had taken place there. In fact, Fairfax right now is probably the cleanest it's ever been. You could almost eat off the street. Our store is not open again yet. It will be soon. We're still talking about when is the right time to do that. Of course, everything right now is about being mindful of what's going on out in the world, and it's maybe not the most important thing to open up the shop yet. I think other shops are open though. Some of the more prominent stores like Supreme are not planning on opening for a while, from what I understand. But some of the other stores are open for business, and I urge you to support them in any way, whether if you feel comfortable actually going physically to the store, doing curbside, or just ordering online. Let's keep Fairfax alive. But thank you for asking. That's a good question. What Kubrick deck was my favorite from Connor? Yeah, so last night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, once in a while we'll do these Sunday night drops, early Monday morning drops. And last night we kind of tied up all of the Stanley Kubrick collection collaborations with a series of 3 skateboards for The Shining, A Clockwork Orange, and Full Metal Jacket. And it even surprised us how fast it sold out. A Clockwork Orange, that sold out right away within minutes. And to be honest, that wasn't my favorite one. In fact, my favorite one, I thought the one that everyone was going to go for was The Shining with the 2 twins in the hall. So that was probably my favorite one. I hope you got one of them at least, if not all 3. I know a lot of people got the full set, which is kind of like the goal. But a lot of friends also told me that they went for a full set, and as they were checking out, they were starting to sell out, and they ended up with one or none. So hopefully some of you got the decks if that was something that you're really trying to get. Sarah's asking, aren't you guys based in Vernon? We are. Our headquarters is in Vernon, California, which is right outside of downtown Los Angeles. That's where I'm sitting right now. Now, Vernon has also been dealing, as Sarah's pointed out, with major COVID spikes. There are a lot of facilities around here. Farmer John, the meat packing, is about a couple streets over. In these facilities, there's not enough room for distancing by nature of the work. And so there have been these major COVID spikes over the last couple months. In fact, I think in February is when it was really bad. I don't know if it's still that bad, but I think about 9 different plants around Vernon have been hit pretty badly with some heavy spikes. Do you think all these new cases across the country mean we're heading for another lockdown? I don't know. And to be completely frank, I'm not an expert, and I can only decipher so much of what the news is saying, because there's news and stories to support any theory that you have about COVID at this point. And so if you want to win an argument, if you want to feel even almost self-righteous in your claim as to what is going on with COVID, you will find an article to support that opinion. My thinking for the last month or so is no leaders and no answers when it comes to this thing. And that then leaves it up to us, the American public, to decide what is best for us and our communities. And hopefully our thinking of communities comes first, whether that means protecting them health-wise, physical health-wise, but also protecting their jobs and the economy. One thing that there's many things to consider in the pandemic. We are most concerned with people's physical health, ailments, and losing people to this disease. Secondarily, we are also really mindful and fearful of what is happening to the economy, because beginning in August, as unemployment starts turning off and people and eviction bans are lifted, I think we're going to see some really, really heavy suffering on the economic front if we haven't already. And that's not just in jobs, but that's just in people's mental health and mental states. I know a lot of people, some very close to me, relatives who have gotten this disease. The people I know who have died over the last few months have died not directly due to contracting the coronavirus, but because of the effects of of COVID existing and the pandemic existing. For example, not being able to be around their friends and family and dying from despair, or not feeling like they have access to healthcare or the hospitals right now. And so there are other ramifications of this disease affecting, harming, and killing people that go beyond just actually getting the disease itself. And so there's so many things to consider. I've talked about this before, but the thing that is most weighing on my mind through the pandemic, beyond people's actual direct health, of course, related to the coronavirus, is the abuse taking place at home, domestic abuse against women and against children. That is most on my mind just because of personal experiences from my past. And I know that if I were growing up in this day and age and in this moment, that I would be having a really horrible time. And so the number of reported cases of domestic abuse continue to plummet. And that is really alarming. That means that people are not reporting them. They don't have a place to report them. They don't know how. Usually children would have access to schools or other social settings to notify somebody. Usually women would be able to leave their homes, attend, be at their jobs, be out and about in society, and would be able to reach out for help amongst friends. But because people are trapped at home, locked down, a lot of these cases are not being reported. Just like how heart attacks are going down and other kinds of maladies. It's not that they're disappearing, it's that people do not feel comfortable visiting their hospitals. And so there's other ramifications to this that I am just as, if not more, worried and concerned about. For me, top of mind is the degree of domestic abuse that is now happening within homes. I'm working and talking to my friend Amanda Nguyen, who's a really amazing activist, Nobel Prize nominee, about this very issue. It is top of her mind as well. So I think over the next few weeks, I'll be able to talk more about that. So let me answer a couple more questions. If you're just tuning in, you're watching Office Hours. My name is Bobby Hundreds. I'm the co-founder and the chief creative officer here at The Hundreds. The Hundreds is a 17-year-old streetwear brand and storytelling project that we started in our apartment, my partner Ben and I, who you see come around every now and then. Aside from our clothing, with our clothing, we do regular collections that are always available. We also do drops once a week, every Thursday for the most part, sometimes even Sunday nights. But Thursday, meaning Wednesday at midnight, we do these drops, and many of them are centered around collaborations, high-profile collaborations. We just did one with Stanley Kubrick. And then sometimes they're just big clothing drops that are related to the brand. This Thursday, we are doing a drop with Atom Bomb. Atom Bomb is our mascot. If you see in here, I try not to say logo. If you've read my book and you know why that's an important distinction. We're doing another Atom Bomb collection. It's very rare. We only do them a few times a year. Outside of the clothing themselves, we have things like this skateboard, which we haven't released in many years. I think it's been over a decade since we brought out the Atom Bomb skateboard. This is a real collector's item. And so this will be part of the collection that's dropping on Thursday. We have a wastebasket, we have pins, and we also have a rug that if you go to my Instagram, Bobby Hundreds, you can see what it looks like in relation to the model. It's really high quality. It is quite pricey. It is set at $500. It is set that way for a reason. But yeah, this is all part of the Atom Bomb collection that is dropping later. Darwin Rosales is asking about a Stussy collaboration. No and never. Arlo Tone is asking, how often do you surf and what's your #1 most played song right now? So I try to surf every day. It comes out to probably 3 days a week, 3 mornings a week, if not an afternoon here and there. In LA, we don't get access to the best surf, but we do get access to some surf. And so I'm usually out at Venice Breakwater, El Porto, Santa Monica, OP, Sunset. And so you'll catch me out there sometimes. And sometimes some of you will paddle up to me and we'll have a good conversation. So if you do see me out there, please say hi. I was in Lake Arrowhead on Sunday, and there's a group of kids that were wearing the hundreds and came up to me, and we had a really nice conversation. And so anytime you see me out there, please come up to me and say hi. I would love to chat with you. You asked what song am I listening to a lot right now? I'm going through my Spotify. I'm a big Spotify user. There is a song that one of the people who works with us, Hannah works on the Family Style side of things. Family Style is our food festival that we do every year. We did the first one last year. We kind of have an announcement for that coming up soon. But Hannah put me onto this song that it is called Tell Me. I'm going to play it right now. So this song, Tell Me by Neil Francis, was recommended by Hannah. It's kind of become like my song for the pandemic. So I can leave that playing on in the background if it's not too loud. But yeah, that's, I'll take 2 more questions. Nikhil, I apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. You said, not sure if this is sent. I'm studying graphic design and create my own art, I guess you can call it also, and recently got a lot of good feedback on a few designs. I want to start making t-shirts and hoodies. Where do I start? Well, you start by making t-shirts and hoodies. Nikhil, I know this is a really simple answer. I'm going to strongly recommend that you read my book first. I can answer more by you reading this book than I can do by talking about it over the Hundreds TV. In the book, I tell you my life story. So I tell you how we did it. I can't necessarily tell you how you should do it because your story is different. But I tell you how we did it. And at the very end of the book, there is a frequently asked questions section where I take you through more of the technical steps to building a clothing brand and what that looks like. Questions around trademark issues, questions about production, all of that is in there. And so the very first thing I ask people to do is read the book. You can buy it. You can buy it at your local bookstore. You can buy it off of Amazon. You can also rent it from your library if you don't have the means to be buying a book right now. You can also split it with some friends. I don't care. You can even steal it. You didn't hear that from me, but I'm always down with people stealing my book if they have to. You have to do by any means necessary, get the knowledge. If you're not willing to read the book, I don't really have much more to tell you. Some people have told me like, oh, I don't really want to read a book. I'm not a reader. If you're not willing to put in the time to read a book, it really isn't that long. I'm not that of a storyteller. If you're not willing to put in the time to do the book, you will not be able to keep up with running a brand for that long. Fantastic Four asked a similar question about trademarks. Should someone start a brand, invest in getting a trademark? I answer that thoroughly in the book as well. But what I will say about trademarking is get the brand going first before you register for a trademark. For a bunch of reasons. One of the big ones is you want to date the girl or the guy before you marry him or her, I'm assuming. And trademarking is a very intensive process. It's very expensive also. It takes a lot of time. And sometimes, if not most of the time, when people build brands, as they get along in it, 1 month, 2 months, a year into it, they change their minds about what the name should be, who the partners are, what the logos should look like, the aesthetic. And so you don't want to go through doing all this trademark legwork and then 5 months into your company, one of your partners leaves or you leave, or you just decide this is not for me, which is totally fine. More often than not, I would say that people just kind of disappear and don't really want to do the brand because they realize how difficult it is. So I don't know. That's those are some thoughts about that. I don't know how you guys feel about playing music, but maybe I'll put a playlist together. I'll do one more question Well, Nathan is asking if wheels and trucks come with the skate decks. They don't. If you are looking for a skate shop to support, I suggest you head over to brooklynprojects.com. That's plural, Brooklyn, as in Brooklyn, New York, projects.com. That is our friend Dominic's shop. It is also really interwoven with the Hundreds history. That is the first store that we started out in, our first clubhouse. A lot of history there. So they're based in LA, but they do ship. I think that is good for now. So tune in tomorrow. Well, thank you for watching Office Hours, everybody. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, on TikTok under Bobby Hundreds. I'll always be there. Tomorrow, Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, tune right back in here to the Hundreds TV. That's tv.thehundreds.com. We're doing our second show for Greatest Hits. Greatest Hits is our program, our vintage program for the Hundreds, but it's also a show where our host Justin is going to take us, me and Ben, and walk us through some of the stories behind some of these vintage pieces. It is also your chance to own them. We will be selling them. On Wednesday night, we are dropping our Atom Bomb collection, as I've been talking about. It's going to blow out right away. You already know how that one's going to do. The centerpiece of the collection is a rug, but there's also the skateboard. We are also releasing a burgundy side Atom New Era. That burgundy is the first time we've offered that hat in that colorway. We also are releasing Atom Bomb denim. The denim also has a lot of storytelling within the brand because it was part of some of our first collections, and way back then, and they sold out back then. We never made them again. We also have a wastebasket, the skateboard, as I talked about, t-shirts, hoodies, all of that. So that's Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, midnight on the East Coast, thehundreds.com and the Hundreds app. On Thursday, I'll be coming right back here to do Dropping In. And in the Dropping In show, I will be talking about our latest release, which will be the Atom Bomb collection. I'll also sneak peek what's coming up next for next week. Friday's Power Hour, which is when we have a live DJ coming here on the Hundreds TV. So we have a lot of content throughout the week, and there will be more and more. We even have a yoga show coming. So hope you guys have been enjoying the Hundreds TV. Thank you for watching. Thanks for telling people to watch, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks for watching.